Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I watched the bullet pop out the front of his face and realised then that I loved him.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss The Tommyknockers, which came out in 1993 from director John Power. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for The Tommyknockers?
Well, the story follows the townsfolk of Haven Falls. Jimmy Smits' character has just returned there after hopefully battling his alcoholism. When he gets back to the town, he realises that something strange is in the woods outside and is starting to influence the townsfolk.
This is, of course, a TV adaptation of one of our favourite authors, Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
And this is perhaps my least favourite Stephen King book and adaptation. Now, every Stephen King book I've ever picked up, I've finished, except for The Tommyknockers. Twice I've tried to finish this book, and twice I've put it down and never picked it up again. The TV miniseries, I caught it back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And I never finished it. I tried it again in the late 2000s, and I never finished it. So finally, for this review, I actually finished the TV series that we're about to review. And I wish I hadn't.
Yeah, I remember this coming out or being advertised on TV, and I watched the It miniseries, the two-parter, so I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
The guy who wrote the teleplay for the Stephen King's It is the same guy who wrote this one as well.
Ah, right, okay. But obviously I'd seen Maximum Overdrive, I'd seen Misery, I'd seen a lot
Carrie.
Carrie, The Shining, there was a lot of Stephen King stuff that I watched, and I was like, wow, that's all really good. This is going to be even better. It's not, though. The thing that I think a lot of time writers suffer from when their stuff is being adapted into TV form is that, they write so much description and background lore in the book to keep the reader going that you then try to adapt that into the TV show.
Stephen King writes very good characters, but they're always lost when they come to the screen.
Yeah.
They don't carry everything from the pages with them.
Yeah, but this one suffers even more because it leaves out a lot of the stuff you start to question.
Right.
Like, for example, okay, well, I'm just going to do this now. There's a weird alien artifact out in the woods outside Haven Falls, and it's found by Bobby, a writer with writer's block, played by Marg Helgenberger.
I recognised her from the first two Species movies.
Yeah, I recognised her from CSI,
right,
as well. And she finds this thing. We don't get told how long it's been there. Well, we get snippets of information in the second part. Because this is in two parts, and both parts are an hour and a half long. So we're looking at a 3-hour fucking production. And we don't know how long it's been there. We don't know how it got there. We don't know any information about what this thing is. We know it's got a weird influence because we're already seeing the dreams from Jimmy Smits' guard character where he sees Bobby in the woods with that gaunt face and the green eyes, and she goes all kind of weird. So this thing is not good. But that's it. For the first hour and a half, we literally just sit there and we establish all of the characters in Haven Falls.
And there are a lot of characters.
And there's a lot of characters. Most of them won't lead to anything.
No.
So we're establishing, unlike It, where Pennywise seemed to be in the background all of the time, or Maximum Overdrive, where the shit was kicking off right from the beginning. Even with The Shining, you just had that eerie feeling from the way Kubrick had done all the camera work.
I guess something scary does happen towards the beginning of the film, and that is when the sheriff is taking a class full of kids around the police department.
Oh, yeah.
And they all get to point at the prisoner behind the bars. And then she takes them into a room full of her doll collection.
What the fuck is that?
I mean...
I'm a local town sheriff. My life is so boring. I'm just going to fill this room with dolls that I've collected over the years. That's not scary at all, is it?
Well, one of the dolls scares the little boy that's there.
It's a fucking scary room full of dolls, dude. But yeah, the little boy gets scared by this clown thing, and she kind of looks back at them, doesn't she? And she's like, "Which one of you scared that little boy?" I'm like,
weirdo. This is the town sheriff.
Yeah, but the first hour and a half is just there to establish all these characters. Like I said, we've got Jimmy Smits' character Guard, who's a poet, but he's suffering from alcoholism, and he hasn't written anything in years, and he's struggling. And his friend is Bobby. I mean, are they friends? Are they lovers?
Yeah.
You know, because I've always established them as lovers.
Yeah.
You know, they were in a relationship. But the way he talks about her is just like, you know, I do love her, but she's my friend. She's helped me through all this. I'm like, right, oh, okay. You know, you've got John Ashton playing Butch Duggan, the sheriff from Derry,
Maine.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, the location for it.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, luckily we're all in a self-contained Stephen King universe here.
We're all in Maine.
Yeah, you know, because nothing weird's going to happen here. We've got Joanna Cassidy playing Sheriff Merrill, the sheriff of Haven Falls. I recognise her from Ghosts of Mars. You know, she was the stripper from Blade Runner as well.
Yeah.
You know, she's done a lot of great performances. She does look pretty fine in that police officer's outfit as well.
It's just that once you see her with all those dolls, though, I just kind of want to keep her character over there. For the rest of the
Which they do.
For the rest of the movie, she's a fine, upstanding character, though. She's, you know, one of the good guys.
Yeah, but such a weakly used good guy.
Yeah,
because it's a focus more on the people who are being influenced by it. You know, we've got the great Traci Lords playing Nancy Voss. You know, Traci Lords, porn star from the 70s and 80s. You know, she's playing a seductress in this. She's having an affair with Joe Paulson, the postman, played by Cliff the Young. Did you recognise him?
Yes,
the dad from Flight of the Navigator. I actually looked on his filmography. He's not got this on his filmography.
Really?
Yeah, I was looking and I was just like, okay, so I had to go back on Wikipedia to the Tommyknockers to find him and be like, it is him.
He is this film's biggest douchebag, though.
I don't know, the dad in the restaurant.
Okay, yeah, he's just as bad.
Yeah, Robert Carradine playing Bryant Brown. He's the father of the two little boys.
That's right, yeah.
And how terrible of a business are you going to run? You've got your own little cafe, but you're going to air all of your family dirty laundry in front of all the customers.
Yeah.
You know, you're shouting at your son, you know, because he's knocked over some tomato ketchup.
Yeah.
You know, you're giving the granddad grief in front of everybody. And I was just like, what are we establishing here? You know, I don't need any of this.
This is to establish the normality of the town before the strange things start occurring and influencing the townspeople into doing random things.
Yeah, but how boring is that? Because
it's boring.
Yeah, because we're in a Stephen King adaptation, so we know it's not normal. There are so many things hidden underneath the surface, and we're just waiting for it to come out. Literally, we are there for an hour and a half just watching Bobby dig and trying to unearth this. Well, it's a craft. It's a fucking craft. It's massive.
At first, you know, you don't know whether it's a temple, you know, that's been buried, or whether it is an alien spacecraft, or whether it's a gateway to another dimension. You know, you didn't really know what's down there.
No, but
to begin with. But you know, I like the Lovecraftian feel of the first part of this film, where it does start influencing the townspeople, and they're not directly aware of it. You know when it's happening because you start to get the green glow.
Yeah.
Which, of course, does appear in some other Stephen King adaptations as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, she keeps getting drawn to the dig site. And you see it glowing green as well.
Yeah.
And, of course, you know, when Guard comes back, she goes, you know what, I've been going to the dig site and, the heating and the plumbing, I fixed all that.
Yeah.
The guard goes and looks at it all, and he sees that she's got these instruments, these green glowing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't even look like the pipe's actually connected to the mains or anything, and it's still producing heat.
Or masses of heat. It's like she's got something radioactive.
Because he burns himself as well, yeah.
And lots of the other townsfolk have started building this kind of stuff. I mean, Nancy, you know, she starts off as the bumbling blonde, but then when she starts getting influenced by the aliens, she's created a letter sorter machine, you know, and a laser in her lipstick that can vaporize things. You know,
you got the old lady in the hardware store.
Yeah,
who's making her own device,
silver polishing thing.
But I think the best device is actually Bobby's, because she's a writer and she has a typewriter, and when she goes to sleep, her thoughts and dreams are telepathically sent to the typewriter, which writes the whole book for her.
Yeah.
I just love the whole rickety kind of setup for it, the paper just being fed into it and the story being churned out.
I mean, the little boy's device is pretty good for making his brother disappear.
He wanted to be a magician, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you get lots of filler scenes where he's trying to be a magician, where he's trying to perform magic tricks in the school.
Yeah.
Where his granddad comes in with a new box and is like, here's some more tricks for you. You know, I know you failed once, but the best ones always try again.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we get the boy's birthday party, and of course he makes his younger brother disappear.
And not come back.
And that's when the mystery rises, like, where is the boy? And, you know, and then you get the whole town going out into the woods trying to find him.
Yeah. Question, though. Right. Most of the town is influenced by the alien stuff going on. And I read something from the actual book that it started. In the book, there was like an invisible gas that was coming out and influencing the town.
Yeah.
Right. Guard is not influenced because he's got a metal plate in his head from a skiing accident, and we're told this because when he's making his way back to the town, he just gets in the car, or he hitchhikes with some random guy, and it's so this production is so old, it's just like instant filler. Hey man, why don't you give me your backstory before we get into the next part? Okay, I will. And you sit there listening to Jimmy Smits' backstory, which is not bad the way he delivers it.
I like the actor, you know, I don't recognise him from too much. I remember him from the Star Wars films.
Yeah, well, he was massively in NYPD Blue back in the day, so, you know, and he was in Dexter for a short time as well.
Yes,
so he's got
I mean, he is the best actor in this production.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny as well that Stephen King, as most people know, suffered from substance abuse quite a lot.
Yes, and he said that this book was his way of trying to channel all that.
Yes, this film is kind of like a metaphor for him dealing with, you know, his addiction.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the character of Guard is an alcoholic and trying really hard to give it up.
Yeah.
And of course, we see him, like, one of the first sequences we see him in, he's told that he's an alcoholic after just reading this poetry. And then, you know, he sat at the bar and he's like, yeah, fuck it. Drinks vodka, throws another one down our top.
That was brilliant scene.
Attacks another guy with an umbrella.
Yeah.
And then throws himself out the window.
Yeah. And then wakes up on a beach and he's just like, what did I do this time?
Yeah.
You know?
You can just imagine that's just one of the less impactful events in his drunkenness.
But he doesn't get influenced because he's got the metal plate in his head. You've got the old man who doesn't get influenced. And we get no explanation of why he's not. You know, from the sounds of it, he's been in the town longer than everybody else.
Well, once the little boy's disappeared, the older brother ends up collapsing.
Yeah.
And they rush him to a hospital in Derry. And the granddad spends a lot of the time in Derry with him in the hospital, and so it's kind of out of the town.
Okay.
And that's why the other cop, Butch, is also unaffected because he's out in Derry. And he takes trips in and out.
But why is Ruth not affected? The sheriff of the town.
Well,
you know?
I mean, she's not affected, but and because she's not affected, all of her dolls come to life.
Yeah, and attack her.
This is not. I mean, this is fairly late into the second half of the production, and this is not after we've had countless scenes of her and Butch flirting with each other, planning on going on a date with each other, watching her go off and get a haircut and get a new dress.
They're on a date as well, aren't they?
Then,
she sees her deputy's husband cheating and she doesn't bother saying anything.
Yeah. And so you're just like, this is all bland, real. It's like soap opera stuff.
That's it, yeah.
But worse.
Yeah. You've got Deputy Paulson, played by Alice Beasley. The only thing I recognised her from was National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1.
Right, yeah.
Like a brief part in that. But you know, she's completely oblivious to the fact that her husband's cheating on her. And she's trying her best, and he's making excuse after excuse to get away from her because he just wants to go off with Nancy. And so the deputy's TV starts talking to her and telling her to kill him.
Her reaction is so subtle.
Yeah. You know, she's like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I should. And I'm like, right, so these aliens are influencing the town, giving them all these bits of technology, and are trying to get them under the sway so that the townsfolk can help excavate the ship. That makes sense. But why influence this woman to kill her husband, and in turn, after he's been killed, have her locked up? What was the point in that? I mean, okay, yeah, I understand that it's a Stephen King story and that, you know, we need a bit of creepiness. You know, she killed her husband and now she's all locked up. But we never see her again in the second part. No. Nobody even brings it up.
She's just left in the asylum singing the Tommyknockers song.
Yeah. And okay, it ends the first part on a kind of creepy factor, but I'm like, I've just sat for an hour and a half and that was boring as fuck. And now I've got to sit through the next hour and a half. And as an experienced Tommyknockers watcher, before I even watched this, I knew I should have just skipped to the last 20 minutes.
Well, that's where everything happens in my opinion, an anti-climax.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But still, at least something happens. I mean, I never knew what happened, so...
Well, that's it. I mean, the second part starts, and Guard is... He knows that something is not right with this artifact. Every time he goes near it, it tries to force the metal plate out of his head. You know, everyone's trying to read his mind, and they literally can't. You know, they're creating all this weird technology, and so he just knows something's up.
He tries to escape. He tries to get out of town, and you know, his truck ends up overheating.
Yeah.
Then this green light follows him to the telephone booth.
Yeah, and the force field stops him on the road.
Yeah, and that I think is that is the point where I'd got to in the book as well.
Yeah.
And then of course he ends up being taken back to the dig site with everybody else.
Well, that's it. All the outside cops have come into the town. You know, the Sheriff Butch and his deputies. The deputies have ended up being killed by Nancy with her vaporizer.
Her lipstick is a vaporizer, and it is a 1960s kind of sci-fi effect. It's just like, really, we're going with Death Ray lipstick.
Yeah, Death Ray lipstick. You know, but the sheriff is feeling ill. Every time he comes into the town, he's feeling ill. And now with Ruth's disappearance, you know, he's adamant that he really wants to find her and the missing boy.
Well, this is one of my favourite sequences, is where he's with the granddad.
Yeah, yeah.
And the granddad's like, you know about the Tommyknockers? And he proceeds to tell Butch about how his grandson was talking about the Tommyknockers when he was asleep. And, you know, we had seen the boys out in the forest earlier, and he was like, oh, Granddad told me that this is where the Micmac Indians buried their dead. And I'm like, oh, Pet Cemetery reference. We also had a Cujo reference earlier. And so, you know, so the Granddad's just like, I know who's responsible. It's the Tommyknockers. So now it's the Granddad and Butch, the cop, on their way into New Haven to deal with the crisis. And, you know, I'm just like, okay, you know, it's the most unexpected of heroes out of the whole cast that you think are going to be the ones to go in there and do something. Because these are the only two that know what's going on and doing something.
Yeah.
And they get into the town, and they're like, oh, everybody's gone. Everybody's gone. Like, the one or two disappearances.
Fucking Children of the Corn all over again.
And so the cop's just like, I'm thirsty. I want a Coke. Because we've seen him earlier. Every time he's on screen, he's like, I need to go get a drink.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm watching him at this vending machine. Doesn't give him his drink. You see the device that's holding the drink, and it looks like it's got teeth.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course he sticks his hand in there, and it gets caught.
Yeah, because that's what you do, isn't it? Yeah.
Of course, you know, he was told earlier to just boot it to get the drink to pop out. But no, this time I'm gonna put my hand in there, and I'm looking at this vending machine, and I'm having Maximum Overdrive flashbacks.
Yeah,
I'm just like, who gets it worse? Does the guy who gets the cans thrown at him get it worse? And then the fucking vending machine explodes. That for me, I was just like, oh my god, you've just given this film like 5 points. That was so unexpected. I could rewatch that again. It's just, he's just there. The fucking thing just explodes.
It's just like they filled the whole thing with C4 dynamite inside, you know?
I'm just like, of all the ways they could have thought to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And they were just like, we'll jerry-rig a vending machine. That'll get him.
Could have vaporized him with Nancy's laser.
So that just then leaves the old man to go and take down the Tommyknockers. And he wanders into the forest and he gets his camera out. And I'm like,
yeah,
what are you doing?
I'm going to take pictures to show people what's going on here. I'm like, my problem was in the amount of things that I've seen where there's something weird going on in a town, the military turn up like 5 seconds later. They're either, they already know it's there, they put it there, or they're on their fucking way. No, not in this. I mean, the most we hear is Bobby say, oh, we don't want to contact the authorities just yet. You know,
because they will take it away from her.
Yeah. And I'm like, you need it taken away. This whole thing needs to be burned. But
well, that's the whole thing again about the addiction, and what Stephen King was using is that everyone in this town is now an addict.
Yeah.
And they cannot stop.
They cannot stop. They love the euphoric energy that this thing gives them.
Exactly. And now it's only Guard who is immune to it because of his metal plate, who is the alcoholic.
Yeah.
Who is now the only one who could possibly save the day.
After the old man is captured, I mean, his name's Ev Hillman, played by E.G. Marshall. Guard realizes that there's something weird with his garage because it's all locked up, and he manages to actually get his way into there.
Big green glow coming from it.
Yeah, and realizes that, I don't know, Bobby or the townspeople have encased the old man, Sheriff Ruth, and Petey, their dog.
Yeah.
And stuck them in these crystal-like devices where they're being drained of energy.
Like, it's kind of like in the Matrix, where they're all in those pods, they're being used as batteries. Something like that.
Batteries for what?
To power whatever is underground.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the problem. You get none of this from this production. Like I said, you don't know how long it's been there. You don't know why they're there. You don't know half the fucking battery-powered things that are happening because they're in the garage.
Yeah.
But the little boy who disappeared, he's in the ship.
Yeah.
And Guard realizes that he needs to get in there to fucking confront them. So he removes one of his teeth.
Yes.
To show Bobby that he has become now.
It's like the those that are under the spell are kind of waiting for a convergence.
Yeah.
They're all waiting to merge, I guess, into one thing.
Well, that was it. I got that from the book as well when I was wikiing it, is that the people in the town are starting to become Tommyknockers.
Well, yeah, I mean, their hair's falling out, their eyes are sinking back, their teeth are falling out, they're falling apart.
But we don't get that from the production.
To an extent.
We see that they're being drained.
Yeah.
It's like they're being drained by their life force because when Guard convinces Bobby to help him find the entrance, and they do manage to make it inside the ship, and it is fucking huge that you guys are going to be digging for the rest of your lives to get this fucking thing out, that they get in there and you start to see the inside of the ship. Now, like I said, this is kind of where it actually finally starts to get interesting.
That elevator ride going down.
Yeah.
I paused it just to look at it and I was like, it's awful.
Yeah, I've seen worse special effects.
I have seen
worse. Present day.
But, considering this film has been special effects light, we've had the crappy death rays.
Yeah.
But then when they were going down that elevator, I was just like, oh no.
Yeah.
It's really bad. But at least they do land and get off into a set of some kind.
Yeah. But then they find the aliens. I mean, Bobby comes across a room of ripped up human corpses, it looks like, hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah, and then you go, oh, okay, there's the Micmac Native American Indians.
Right.
So I guess they were all kind of fell under the Tommyknocker spell and
what, were lured into the ship to be ripped apart?
Or cocooned, or fed on, or drained, or I don't know what these...
Well, that's it, because half of the aliens inside the ship look like they're fighting in death throes. Why were they fighting? It's like Jimmy Smits says, it looks like they were fighting and the ship crashed. So they were fighting So he tells me that they were fighting on the ship before the ship crashed.
Yeah, it's the alien, the thing kind of mystery. There's a crashed ship on a planet that one race looks like it's killed another alien race on it.
Right. But when they start moving around, they come across the little boy and they break him out of the battery pack. The other Tommyknockers start to wake up. He kills one.
Yeah,
and it seems to be draining the life force from Bobby. Because when he cuts its head off,
Bobby gets restored.
She gets completely restored then. And I'm like, right, okay, so these aliens are draining the life force of people so that they themselves can be alive.
Yeah.
And now they need the humans to excavate their ship, even though they could just fly the fucking thing out. But when he forces Bobby and the little boy to get away, there's a lot of Tommyknockers moving towards him.
Yeah.
And these are, I can only assume, are affecting the other townspeople.
Yeah, yeah.
For what purpose?
To bring themselves back to life?
To what? Fly away or to take over the planet?
Doesn't matter, one or the other.
It does, because I've just sat through almost 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours of character building, and most of them aren't even meaning anything. Like I said, you've got Joe Paulson, he's dead. Nancy's taking command because she doesn't like the way that Bobby is protecting Guard. It's just like, right, but I know Guard's the good guy because he's the only one who's obviously trying to fight back. The old man is being captured and his family members are starting to slowly turn. They don't care about their son anymore. The cops are all over the place, and I'm just like, to what end?
See, I think you cared quite a bit at this point. I didn't care anymore at this point. I was already bored. And so when all this sci-fi stuff kicked in and the reveal that it's an alien spacecraft that was underground the whole time, it was just like, the aliens look...
They don't look too bad, the shots that you have, but I don't think
decent. I think the problem I have is just the lighting. The lighting for the whole of the Tommyknockers is just flat. The camera work is just flat. The music is pretty good, but with it, when you're in this sci-fi ship, it's just lifeless. And the aliens themselves, the way they move, they don't say anything. They're just hostile. They look kind of goofy. They look kind of silly.
They're hostile right from the start. And I'm like, for what end?
Exactly.
You want to kill these people, but you also need them.
And so Guard ends up, there's one that's strapped into this device, which you can imagine is like the pilot's seat, or it's like the device that's used to broadcast this telepathic signal everywhere.
Yeah.
And, he grabs the rubber body from in it and throws it over.
Yeah, I saw that.
Decides to get in it himself. Continuity errors. There was one earlier where, they were coming down the elevator, and all of a sudden, Guard just turns around with a flashlight. I'm like, where the fuck did you get that flashlight through? Because I'm pretty sure you didn't bring it with you. But then, continuity again, where, he gets into the device, he straps it on, he's powering it up, and he starts nosebleeding.
Yeah.
And then in the next shot, the nosebleed's gone. And then in the next shot, the nosebleed's back again. It's just like, this is how bored I am, because when you are, this is the first time watching, you don't usually see continuity errors until you watch a film over and over again. But you're finding them when the film is bad, because that's where your attention's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just like, I don't really care how this film ends. And he manages to fly the ship out of the ground.
Well, yeah, that's it. Well, I mean, he uses his mind to blow up that alien that's getting a bit close to him.
It's Scanner style,
which I'm like, well, that's cool. And he flies the ship off.
And the ship itself is just ugly. It's just like, what?
I don't understand how the legs folded. Why did the legs fold? It's just... And then he blows it up. And Bobby had already escaped with the little boy at this point. And
she does deliver a very powerful, scream. One of those...
Yeah. Well, she's a good actress.
Yeah.
But it's like she's just escaped with the little boy. She gets chased by Nancy... because Nancy's new boyfriend, the little boy's dad, has just killed himself by trying to shoot the ship with his laser gun. I'm like, right, I'm glad he's dead, actually. He was a bit of a douchebag. And they get into the barn and they're fighting, and the old man chokes Nancy out and then dies himself. And I'm like, that was pointless. The ship explodes and Bobby's like, no! I'm like, right, am I supposed to care at this point? Because, yeah, Guard was a good character, but I already knew as a, like, not, you know, unlike Gary, I'd already seen it, so I knew that was going to happen. So, like I said, when I first started watching it, I was like, just skip 20 to the 20-minute end mark and just watch him blow the ship up.
Yeah. Yeah, but I suppose you need to... It's one of those films where you want to get invested in the characters and find out what happens to them all. But when you don't care, you know, there's a lot of film to get through.
Well, that's the thing. It's not a film.
Yeah.
It's a TV episode, a TV
miniseries.
Yeah. You know, it looks like it. It acts like it. You know, it's filmed like it. The dialogue is delivered like it. You know, they knew that this was never going to hit the heights as Maximum Overdrive or Carrie or Misery. It was never going to go to the cinema.
Right, yeah.
You know, it was going to be on the TV just like it did.
And The Stand. Yeah.
And The Stand. And for me, that's kind of the problem. Like, I've sat all the way through The Stand. And, like, the first episode, maybe the second episode is pretty good. And then the end is okay. The middle drags it. And we're talking about a fucking 5-hour thing.
Or more, yeah.
With it, I like the first part, but I don't like the second part.
Yeah.
With this one, I don't like the first part. I like the second part. You know, and I think if you could squeeze down all of the stuff in the first part into at least half an hour, and then slap it onto the second part and just expand the searching for the little boy.
I'd imagine that's what I would do as well. And you know, the Tommyknockers is being remade currently. I think it's James Wan, who is currently finishing off the Aquaman. Is going to be doing a remake of the Tommyknockers for 2019.
Yeah,
you know, from the same producers of the It remake as well. So,
yeah,
you know, I think we'll probably see a lot more Stephen King adaptation remakes in the future.
Yeah.
And you know what? Tommyknockers is totally fine for a remake.
Yes, totally fine.
Because I would never watch this again. I struggled to get through it this time. But at least I do have maybe 2 favourite scenes from the whole 3-hour experience.
Yeah.
And that is the freaky dolls coming to life, you know, and attacking the sheriff. You know, as a kind of a, you know, massive fan of Child's Play, as a fan of Puppet Master, you know, I like watching small dolls come to life and murder people because it's funny. And when it's done well, I mean, the witch flying across at her,
smacking her in the head, that was pretty cool.
It's still silly.
When that thing drops on her head and you just see the big clunk.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fucking hell.
But of course, my favourite sequence, most memorable moment from the film, and the only reason why I'm glad I ever did rewatch Tommyknockers was watching Butch wrestle with that vending machine and then fucking explode. Almost everything else in the film is forgettable. Really, really forgettable.
Yeah.
Even Traci Lords, you know, her acting was so over the top in this. It's just like, I'm probably not going to forget that either.
No. I mean, she was good before she started to lose weight, you know, around the face and started to look gaunt. You know, when she's putting on the lipstick and things like that. That was
seductress.
That was just seductress, yeah. I've only got 2 favourite scenes as well. I mean, I really struggled to enjoy what I was watching, even though I knew nothing major was going to happen until the end. You know, I liked Jimmy Smits getting fucked up at the party.
Yes, yeah.
You know, throwing the drink down the cleavage of the woman who's giving him grief, and then trying to fight the guy with the umbrella. All the way up to him jumping out the window and then waking up on the beach. Like, how did I get here? And I'm like, I want to know. I want to see flashbacks. You know, I did like that little bit where he was sat in the car talking to the guy about the backstory, because it was just like, we need to put this in. So we're just going to fill 10 minutes, take it away from the town, and just concentrate on Guard's character, because he is the main character. So,
yeah.
So if you're going to remake this, you know, have him turn up back at the town. You know, he's seeking a place to get over his alcoholism, and it's him battling, but then he's noticing all the addictions that everyone else is going through. You know, and then expanding from that, you can easily shave off an hour of the Tommyknockers into a 2-hour production. If you decide to turn it into a 2-parter like you did with it, what the fuck are you going to fill the first half with? And my second favourite scene was where the deputy's talking to her TV. you know, and he's telling her that, you know, that her husband's cheating on her and that she should kill him.
I like it when he turns to his other co-hosts that are with him, and they're just like, kill him.
Kill him.
Kill him.
Kill him.
Kill him. Kill him. Kill him.
Kill him. I should kill him. And then she takes apart the TV and then just turns it into a
electrocution device thing,
Oh, it's fucking crazy. Everything else, you know, probably going to get a lot of slating from this, you know, but a lot of it was just character development that just led to nowhere, you know. And yes, I haven't read the book, and the book probably expands on a lot more, and I'd probably understand their characters a lot more if I read that. But then the problem would be, I would probably look at the production and be like, well, that's missing, and they took that out.
Well, that's what most people do when, you know, you're doing an adaptation of a Stephen King book. You have to cut stuff out. You can, because it's a different medium of entertainment entirely. But so it's the age-old saying is that the book is better than the film, and it usually is the case. Yeah, you spend more time with the book, you spend more time with the characters. It becomes a bit more personal.
But unlike a lot of other Stephen King adaptations, the Tommyknockers are in the background, but not as much as you'd hope for. There's not enough detail of why they're there. You know, look at Pet Sematary. We know that the Indians ended up finding that land, you know, and there's a whole backstory about it, and you see all the crucifixes, so that over the years loads of people will come here, and there's all this backstory that Judd gives us about all that stuff going on. We get none of that with Tommyknockers until the second part, when the old man goes, oh, look at this newspaper clipping. This man killed his family and his wife. Must be the Tommyknockers. Oh, these Indians, they all disappeared or got eaten. Must be the Tommyknockers. Hey, look, there's a sale on at fucking Macy's this weekend. Must be the Tommyknockers. You know, and it's just like, who even came up with the name Tommyknockers?
Isn't it? I believe it was folklore, you know, one of those old stories that miners used to tell each other. That's my vague recollection of a Tommyknocker.
And okay, but
at first I got it confused with Jerry knockers? Who was it when you knock on people's doors?
And cherry knocking.
Cherry knocking.
Cherry knocking.
Cherry knockers.
Oh, here come the cherry knockers. It's like with this whole Bobby bit as well, you know, where she trips on the metal and she's saying to guard, oh, I must have walked past it like 40 or 50 times. I've never tripped on it. And I'm like, did that wake the aliens up?
Maybe.
You know, nothing's ever happened, and then she clinked it, and one of the aliens was like, oh, what was that? Somebody's nearby. We're going to have to influence
activate the device.
Yeah. Just, no.
Well, it should come as no surprise that I still do not recommend the Tommyknockers. I can't recommend it because I find it boring. Even with the Lovecraftian feel, I think that Act 1 is the stronger part. I prefer the first half to the second half because I like the mystery. I like them trying to discover what's going on, you know, the beginnings of the addiction to want to dig up whatever's down there. Watching the townspeople slowly succumb to the addiction and creating their own, their own devices.
Yeah.
And where it leads them to, you know, with the disappearing child. The big green fireworks display.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like everything that the film's building up to. I kind of liked because of that Lovecraftian feel. But then when you get into the second act and it becomes this sci-fi aliens with, you know, very little budget. You know, there's not much payoff. The character development was all really for nothing. Once the mystery's been revealed, it's just like, okay, but you still got another hour and a half to go.
Yeah.
And it's like, the payoff and it's just very anticlimactic. And so I would say that it's mostly well acted. I would say the two leads, Bobby and Jim, are very good.
Yeah.
The rest, not so much. It's nicely shot, but the camera work is flat. Same with the lighting. Some of the special effects are good and others are just outright laughable. This is a film that I would never, ever want to rewatch either. And it's really on those grounds that's why I could never recommend it, because I wouldn't want to put anyone else through these 3 hours. But like I said, I don't know whether it's just me, because I couldn't finish the book either. Twice. And several times I couldn't finish this TV series. So
no, I'll agree with you. It's boring.
It's boring.
Yeah. I don't recommend it either. You know, if you're a Stephen King fan, you've already seen it. And, you know, maybe, like Gary, you didn't get all the way through it. But But there's reasons why. As a Stephen King fan, you've stopped yourself going, this is nothing. You know, I've seen a lot of them. Like Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot has a lot more going on in that town than this. And it's just, one vampire walking around? You know, Storm of the Century. I've never made my way all the way through that either, because it reminds me of Tommyknockers, where I'm like, it's going to be so much character development and nothing's going to happen until the end.
It was an average film.
You know, like Dolores Claiborne. You know, I think it's Kathy Bates again in that. You know, it's a whole murder mystery. Nothing fucking happens until the end, and you go, oh, really? That's it? Nothing major. I'm not dissing Stephen King for
we love Stephen King. We love Stephen
King. You know, this was his attempt at trying to do something sci-fi. You know, this was him writing something after trying to get over all of his drug and drink addictions that he'd been going through the 80s. The drug and drink really kind of helped with Maximum Overdrive.
Oh yeah, that was the cocaine.
And
sure.
maybe that's my problem with this production, is that there's all of that inner turmoil going on that I'm not getting, because I'm more focused on the horror sci-fi elements. You know, I'm waiting for something to happen which is never actually going to happen, but I'm still waiting for it, and then it annoys me that it doesn't happen. If you are watching this and think, well, I should maybe watch it, try the first half, and if you get through the first half and you're enjoying it, get through the second half. You know, and then you can say you've watched it. If you get through the first half and you're like, this is boring as shit, skip to the last 20 minutes, watch him blow up the ship, and it's all done.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Well, there you have it, Becca. It's unanimous.
Kill him.